Breathe in deeply. Hold your breath for 3 beats and breathe out again. Breathe in a steady rhythm, and as you do, feel your muscles relax and go limp. Feel yourself sinking further into relaxation with every inhalation and exhalation. Clear your mind, release all worries. As I count down from 10, you will sink deeper and deeper into meditation, and at 1, the journey will begin. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You look around and find yourself on a gray, rocky outcrop beside the ocean. However, the seaside is far from cheerful. There is a bone-piercing cold in the air as the waves crash against the rocks, misting you with cold, briny water. The sun is nowhere to be found in the sky, and all you see when you look up is a thick layer of stormy gray clouds. A powerful gust of wind hits you, pulling violently at your hair and clothes. You know you have to find shelter, and soon. You look like the colorless, rocky scenery around you. I see what looks like dark opening of a cave, not far in the distance, facing the sea. You scrabble over the stony ground, tripping from time to time as your foot catches on a jagged stone, or the violent wind threatens to topple you. Finally, you make it into the darkness of the cave and see that it opens into a dark, downward sloping tunnel. You hold your breath and cautiously begin to make your way deeper and deeper into the cave. Though you have relief from the wind and the cold, a new kind of shiver makes its way down your spine as you hear the deep, distant echo of a scream from further ahead. Suddenly, the ground begins to tremble violently, and you nearly lose your footing. But as soon as the earthquake started, it is over. Though you fear what lies ahead, you continue downward. Suddenly, the tunnel opens up into a large, dark cave. As you enter, you are met by a gust of horribly pungent air. The air stinks of acid, mingled with the smell of burning flesh and old blood, and you have to swallow to keep from choking. However, the smell is nothing compared to the sight which meets your eyes as you walk towards the center of the cave. There is a man, naked and awkwardly stretched over 3 large jagged stones. He is held in place by a strange, blood-colored fetter, wound tightly 3 times around his shoulders, his pelvis, and his knees. His long red hair is streaked with blood, and he looks very drawn and pale. From a distance, you can see that red blisters have bloomed on his face. You are sure at once was very handsome. And his body is trembling pitifully, either from cold or pain or both. Above the sad man is an equally sad-looking woman. She is holding a large wooden bowl over the man's face, into which, from the ceiling, a long, thin stream of green, toxic-looking liquid is slowly pouring. Rags of clothing hang from her skinny arms, and there are pale gray streaks in her strawberry blonde hair. At first, you think she's an old woman, but as you draw closer, you look into her face, fixed in concentration, and realize with a shock that she can be no older than 20, despite the deep hollows in her cheeks. Your eyes follow the green trail of dripping liquid up towards the ceiling. You're shocked to see an enormous green serpent coiled within the dead, dried roots that protrude from the stony ceiling, single-mindedly allowing venom to pour from its enormous fangs into the bowl below. The man on the stones catches sight of you, and the red, welted skin around his eyes makes their green color violently bright. He signals you to come towards him with a jerk of his head, and though you feel both pity and revulsion, you come closer. As you do, the man speaks in a voice that sounds parched and exhausted. I know it doesn't look like much, but this is home now. Ever since they left us here. It never would have come to this if they had just left my children alone. They were beautiful, all of them, whether or not the others could see it. I loved them, and they were taken from me. And for what? Because of a prophecy. Let me give you a word of advice, my friend. Never trust a prophet. They're always looking to feed their own agendas. My brother was sworn to protect those children, just as he swore to protect me. And look where that got us. The man's voice trails off as the woman abruptly leaves his side, dashing to the wall of the cave where a small trickle of water from the sea is drizzling in. She pours the venom onto the ground with an acidic hiss, and you see that it follows a clean, smooth trail in the ground that appears to have been created by pouring it many times before. How long have these people been here? Behind you, the man gives a blood-curdling scream as the venom pours unimpeded into his face, and the ground trembles with his thrashing. The smell of seared flesh becomes overwhelming, and you begin to panic as you watch blood and blisters color his face a bright crimson. However, in a moment, the woman is back and catches the venom in her bowl again. The man draws in deep, ragged breaths, his eyes shut tightly against the venom. When he speaks again, it is barely above a whisper. Sorry, where was I? My children. This is not the fate I wanted for myself, or for my wife. But I couldn't watch my children be imprisoned and tortured for nothing. I would have done anything to avenge them, even endure this. Tell me, what do you love? Is there anything you love enough to defend, even if it landed you in a place like this? You answer, but the woman beside you silently shakes her head. Apparently, she sees deeper within you than you do yourself. She gently motions for you to look into her bowl. You oblige, and within the green, swirling surface, an image begins to appear. As you look into the bowl, we see the true face of your deepest convictions. What is it that you would fight with your life to protect? Suddenly, the images in the bowl fade, and you notice that the man on the stones is smiling ruefully up at you. Quietly, he speaks. The next time you judge me for what I did, I want you to stop and remember what you saw in that bowl. Then you can begin to understand. For me, it was my children. And one day, even they will be avenged. The man motions with his head toward the fetter binding his body. With a sinking feeling in your stomach, you suddenly realize what the thick red rope resembles. You can't stand to stay in this place of pain and sorrow any longer, and you begin to make your way back towards the tunnel's entrance. But before you go, you can't help but ask the woman, "Why do you stay here?" She doesn't take her eyes away from her work, but she quietly answers, "As long as there is something left to love, there is still hope." With her words still ringing in your ears, you travel quickly back up the tunnel and towards the now comforting sounds of the ocean. You emerge from the tunnel and are relieved to see that the wind has died down to a cool breeze. You look up towards the sky and watch hopefully as a thin beam of sunlight escapes from the blanket of clouds. The beam of light grows brighter as it touches your face and soothes you with its comforting warmth. As the sun warms your body, you begin to come back to consciousness. As I count up from 1, you will gradually begin to stir and awaken, slowly ascending into the physical world with your newfound knowledge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.